Hi everyone. My name is Cindy, and I work at the Girl Scout office in member support. I am also a parent and a troop leader here in Bennington, just outside of Omaha. And I volunteered to do a video on water and sun safety. Um, I'm outside of my house, so there's probably going to be a lot of noise, but um, um, so water and sun safety, especially since it's warm outside and we're spending a lot of time outside, it's very important. Not the most exciting topic. I don't really have anything to demonstrate or show you. I have a lot of information, so you're going to see me looking down a lot because I don't have it memorized. I will try to hopefully link some of my sources at the end of the video if I can figure out how to do that. Or maybe I'll have marketing to it. I don't know. So let's just dive on in. That was a horrible pun, but okay, let's talk about sun safety first. The American Academy of Dermatology, also known as the AAD, recommends that all kids, regardless of their skin tone, wear sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher. Of course, this is not just for kids. This would be for everyone. Whatever sunscreen you choose, make sure it's broad spectrum, which protects you against both UVA and UVB rays. And it'll say right on there if it's broad spectrum. So anything lower than 30 is probably not a good idea. I mean, if you have nothing else at all available, it's absolutely better than nothing, but try to go for that SPF 30 or higher. As you can see, I'm very fair-skinned, and I burn very easily, so I always try to get the highest SPF. I actually use baby sunscreen a lot because those baby sunscreens are usually a higher SPF, and then it works for like everybody in my family. And if you're going to be near water, make sure that that sunscreen also is labeled water resistant. Some even say sweat resistant, which is also good because obviously if you're outside, you're going to be hot. So we know that the sun is hot, but it does really cool things. It keeps us warm. It makes flowers and plants grow. It gives us vitamin D, so we can better absorb calcium into our bodies for strong bones. Vitamin D also actually improves your mood. It makes you happier. So vitamin D is definitely essential. You definitely should try to get outside at least once a day. My son is 12 and has a big problem with this. He likes to stay inside and play video games, but we encourage him to get outside because it's not good to stay inside all day. So it does all the things that I mentioned the sun does all these things by sending down light, which includes invisible ultraviolet rays. Those are also called UV rays. Some ultraviolet rays pass through air and clouds and reach the skin. When your skin's been exposed to too many of these rays, you get what's known as a sunburn. As I mentioned, being fair-skinned, some people get a sunburn faster than others because of their coloring. If you have blonde or red hair, light-colored skin, and light-colored eyes, you'll tend to get a sunburn more quickly than someone with dark eyes and skin. That's because you have less melanin. Melanin. I always say that wrong. I think it's melanin. Melanin is a chemical in the skin that protects it from sun damage by reflecting and absorbing UV rays. People with darker skin have more melanin, but even if you have dark hair, dark eyes, or darker toned skin, you can still get a sunburn. It will just take a bit longer. So I'll just give you an example. My kids are mixed. They have, I'm the mother, and their father is African, actually from Togo, West Africa. So he's very dark. My kids are in the middle. They look very tan. So I feel like when I put sunscreen on them, sometimes I get funny looks, but they need sunscreen just as much as anyone else, just as much as I do, because you want to protect your skin from the possibility of sunburn, skin cancer, and sun damage. So just because someone has darker skin definitely does not mean that they don't need sunscreen. And my youngest daughter she's a 9-month-old baby. She's my niece, but she lives with us, and she is as pale can be. So I am relearning how important sunscreen is. I definitely don't want her to burn. I can only imagine how uncomfortable that would be for a baby. Sunburns look bad and feel worse. If you've ever had one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The worst sunburn I ever had, I was in my mid-20s, and I lived at an apartment that had a pool, and I decided on a random day off to just float in the pool pretty much all day. I don't think I had sunscreen on, or if I did, I didn't reapply it. It was very dumb. I felt terrible. I was hot, red, could barely move like that night, and then of course it blistered, and not good. Do not recommend that. That was very dumb of me. So sunburns can cause blisters on your skin. They can keep you inside feeling sore when everyone else is outside having fun. That is for sure. They can increase your chance of getting wrinkly when you get older, and worst of all, sunburns can lead to skin cancer when you're an adult. Because getting wrinkles and getting sick don't happen right away. It can seem like those are things that could never happen to you, but you still need to be careful. You don't need to hide from the sun completely, but you should take these 2 steps. Always wear sunscreen, even if you're going outside for a little bit, or even if it's cloudy, and take breaks from the sun by going indoors or moving into the shade. That's a wonderful tip, is if you know you're going to be outside and it is super hot and sunny, look for a shaded spot. Even if you don't stay there the whole time, you can use that as kind of your break spot. You'll notice a lot at Girl Scout camps, there's a lot at our properties, there's a lot of big shady trees for that reason, because you're outside and you need a spot to maybe have lunch or take a water break or whatever, where you're not directly in the sun. Those steps that we just talked about are especially important between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. in the afternoon, when the sun's rays are the strongest. As we talked about, use a sunscreen with an SPF rating of 30 or higher. Put on sunscreen 15 to 20 minutes before going out in the sun. The letters SPF stand for Sun Protection Factor, and the number rating tells you how much longer you can stay in the sun without getting sunburned. But this isn't always true, so reapply sunscreen at least every 2 hours just to be safe. So sunscreen is definitely not a one and done thing. You cannot just put it on and leave it at home and then go out for the day. You do need to reapply it. And you need to reapply it more often if you've been swimming or sweating a lot, even if the sunscreen is waterproof. Sorry, I'm looking all over the place. There's like UPS driving by, other random cars, mailman came by. It's very distracting. And my screen just went off. Okay. Oh yes, and remember that you can get sunburned more quickly when you're swimming or boating because the reflection from the water makes the rays stronger. So don't think that because you're in the pool, like covered up, that that's going to eliminate the possibility of being sunburned. Absolutely not. Be sure to put sunscreen on all over your body. This includes some places you might not think of, like the tops of your ears, the back of your neck, the part in your hair, your face, of course, and the tops of your feet. You may need some help reaching the back of your body, so ask your parents or friends to give you a hand. If you want to block the sun's rays, wear clothing that you can't see your hand through. You might still get burned through more sheer fabrics. There's a lot of swimwear now that helps. It'll say right on the tag if it's UV resistant, or there's things called Rash Guards that look like those swim shirts. Those can help out a lot, especially if you're very fair skinned. You still need sunscreen, of course, but it helps greatly. And you can also wear a hat, a baseball cap, or another fun hat with the baby. We have a little cute little baby hat that we put on her all the time when we're out in the sun. Since she just has a little bit of fluffy blonde hair, that really helps to make sure that her scalp doesn't get burnt, and then kind of keeps some of the sun off of her face. Your eyes need protection from ultraviolet rays too. Always wear sunglasses in the sun, and the sunglasses, maybe don't just get them from the dollar store. There might be some cute ones there and they're super cheap, but make sure that they say that they block UV rays, otherwise they're just for looks. And then, of course, make sure that you're getting enough water. Drinking water is an important part of staying healthy, especially when it's hot outside. When you're sweating, you lose water that your body needs to work properly. And if you're playing a sport or running around in the sun, you lose even more water because you sweat that much more. So drink up and don't wait until you're thirsty. Drinking before you feel thirsty helps keep the water level in your body from dropping too low, which is also known as dehydration. When it's hot or you're sweating a lot with exercise, like we mentioned. If you forget and suddenly feel thirsty, start drinking then. Absolutely. There are a lot of cool looking water bottles around that keep your water nice and cold for hours. So get one you really like, fill it up, and drink up. If you're out in the hot sun or you're exercising on a hot day, like maybe you have soccer practice outside, or baseball or softball, or you're just running or whatever, it's easy to get heat exhaustion. Kids get heat exhaustion when their bodies can't cool themselves fast enough. A kid with heat exhaustion might feel overheated, tired, and weak. And it can come on quickly. A person may just collapse when playing soccer or tennis, for example. It can leave some feeling really tired after it happens. Heat stroke is a much more serious heat-related illness and can cause someone to stop sweating, to have red, hot skin, and to have a high temperature. The person might become uncoordinated, confused, or even lose consciousness. It requires emergency medical attention. So that was heat exhaustion is kind of the warning, and then heat stroke is you're going to need medical attention. So be sure to tell an adult if you're hot And if you have a headache or feel dizzy and nauseated, like you're going to throw up, the grown-up will want to get you out of the sun, give you liquids to drink, and take you to a doctor if necessary. I will share a little story for you. I'm obviously not a kid, but this, heat stroke and heat exhaustion can happen to anyone. I think it was 2 years ago, my kids and I were walking in the Bennington Days Parade for Girl Scouts, and I just maybe didn't realize, like, we were kind of in a hurry to leave the house and get there on time and get lined up, and I didn't realize how hot it was and how the only thing I'd had that day so far was a cup of coffee. So we walked in the parade, and then I took my kids over to the carnival part, and they were playing games, and then they were standing in line to get Kona Ice, and all of a sudden I felt dizzy, like I was gonna faint. I had to find somewhere to sit down. Like, I could not keep standing, and I couldn't stop yawning. It was so bizarre. And looking back, I know now that it was heat exhaustion because I didn't have water, and I think maybe not eating probably had something to do with it too. But luckily, and I don't know what I would have done, because I literally was about to pass out and I had my kids there. But my husband showed up right then. I didn't even know he was coming, but he showed up, and I was like explaining, I'm like, I have to go inside and get in the air conditioning. I'm going to pass out. And so he stayed with the kids, and I went inside and cooled off, got some water. Like, people were like concerned, looking at me like, are you okay? And it was embarrassing. I don't know why, but it was just embarrassing. But all was fine, and now I know to stay hydrated and to not be in the sun too long. So I'm going to switch over to talk about water safety. Again, I know this isn't like super exciting and I don't have anything to demonstrate, but I hope you're still with me. This is important information, I think. And a lot of it is common sense and things you've probably all heard all your life, but I hope you'll learn something from this. So let's go over swimming. Splashing, wading, and paddling. It must mean a great day in the water. Playing at the beach or a water park by a lake or in a pool can be a real treat on a hot day. I love swimming. My kids love swimming. But something we're always super cautious about, and something I worry about, especially as a parent, or if I take my Girl Scout troop somewhere where we're around water, I'm worried about drowning. Drowning is a real danger, unfortunately. Even kids who know how to swim can drown. You unfortunately hear stories in the news all the time about older kids, 11, 15, 17, who do know how to swim. But there is a way to make sure that you stay safe in the water. So why is it important to stay safe in the water? Fish are able to live and breathe in water, but people need air to breathe. People drown when too much water gets into their lungs. When that happens, the lungs can't put oxygen into the blood. Then too little oxygen gets to the brain and the rest of the body. Drowning is the second most common cause of death from injuries among kids under the age of 14. Drowning can happen so fast, sometimes in less than 2 minutes after a person's head goes under the water. That leaves very little time for someone to help. Many drownings and near drownings happen when a kid accidentally falls into a swimming pool. But accidents can happen anywhere, at someone's home or even at your own house, and that's why you need to know how to be safe around water. This is not meant to scare you by any means, but it's meant to help you and help other people around you. Pools are awesome. What could be better than a dip in the pool and fun in the sun, especially at camp in a normal year, because obviously this isn't a normal year. But it's important to remember that a pool's sides and bottom are usually made of concrete, a rock-hard material. A slip or fall could be painful and dangerous. Have you seen those big numbers painted on the side of the pool, like at a public pool? Those are called depth markers. They tell you how deep the water is at that point. You should always look before you jump into a pool. Also, only dive off the diving board. Never dive off the side of the pool unless an adult says that the water is deep enough. The water may be shallower than you think. If you hit the bottom and it's too shallow, like you dive and it's too shallow, that would really hurt. You might get knocked out, or you could hurt your neck very badly. You do want to test the pool's water temperature before you plunge in. Usually you see people go up and test with their little toe. And that's because really cold water could shock your body and make your blood pressure and heart rate go up. You might open your mouth to yell and accidentally breathe in some water. Cold water can also slow your muscles, making it harder to swim. Seeing where I'm at with my time. Okay. Other rules to follow: always have an adult watch you when you're in the pool, even in your own backyard. Do not go in a pool when there is no adult around. My kids know this rule, and I've ingrained it in them since they were little. Not to say that they've never been, that they haven't tried, but they know they do not go into the water without an adult. And with Girl Scouts, we always have a buddy anyway, so you're going to have a buddy, and you're going to wait for an adult. We also use what's called a watcher. A watcher is an adult that stays out of the water and literally does just that. Watches everyone that's in the pool or whatever body of water you're in. My papers just blew away. But they're the ones I already used, so it's okay. Anyway, a watcher is part of our safety guidelines for Girl Scouts. And you should also employ a watcher at home or wherever you're swimming. And where was I? Oh, always call an adult or lifeguard if there's an emergency. Gates are around pools for a reason, to keep kids away from the water when there isn't a lifeguard or adult around to watch them. Never go through pool gates when they're closed. Stay safe. Stay. That's a tongue twister. Stay safe and stay out. So if you see a gate, you shouldn't be going in there. Always obey pool rules. Swim with a buddy, like we talked about. So if you're learning to swim, ask your mom or dad to make sure your flotation devices are Coast Guard approved. Usually kids will go through phases. When you're a baby, you either get carried in the pool or you're put into some type of raft, like a little baby, not a raft, a flotation device. Can't think of the name. But then as you get older and can start to experiment with swimming outside of that flotation device, kids would wear arm floaties or one of those, I think they're called pool puddle jumpers, that have the floaties on each side and then it's connected across the front. Those are awesome. And then as you progress, maybe, and you get older, you might be able to take those off and stay in the shallow end with your parents, and then so on and so forth. Taking swimming lessons is a great idea if they're available. Right now, I know a lot of things are closed, but swimming lessons are a wonderful idea. And walk, of course, walk slowly in the pool area. Don't run. You hear it all the time. Lifeguards and parents say, don't run, don't run. We know you're excited to be swimming and in the pool, but you can slip very easily, and I've seen it firsthand. You don't want to ruin your day of fun by busting your head open. Swim at a depth that is safe for you, like we were just talking about. If you're learning to swim, stay in the shallow end. Before you go in the pool at any Girl Scout property, you always have to take a swim test, which I think is awesome. And they've been doing that since I was a little girl and went to Girl Scout camp. So, and I still remember this. You had to swim across the length of the pool, and you got a wristband depending on your comfort level in the pool, or really if you could make it across without stopping and standing up. So you would either be I think it was a minnow, and you had to stay on the shallow end, a dolphin who could go in the roped off area, like the next area, and then a shark that could go off the diving board. I think those are right. But very important to know what your level is, or for us to help you decide that. And again, swim at a depth that is safe for you. Don't push or jump on one another. You could accidentally hurt someone or yourself. People like to play like chicken in the pool, or like get on top of each other and kind of do the pushing down. That can be really dangerous. It could start out fun, but someone could accidentally ingest water and not be able to tell you that it's no longer fun for them. Toys to help you float can come in many shapes and sizes: an inner tube, air mattress, or beach ball, for example. Although they're fun and can help you while you learn how to swim, what they can't do is save a life. They're toys that can lose air or float away. So don't rely on those to save your life. Don't chew gum or eat while you swim. You could actually choke. So, lakes and ponds. Lots of kids swim in streams, lakes, or ponds. Take extra care when swimming in these beautiful places. You can't always see the bottom of the lake or pond, so you don't always know the depth of the water. This is another reason to always swim with an adult, so they can go ahead of you and see how deep it's going to get and decide where to stop. So stay with your adult, stay with your group. And then in ponds and lakes, there can also be jagged rocks, broken bottles, or trash. So you should always wear swim shoes if you can. And you should watch out for weeds and grass in the water, which can trap even a good swimmer. If you panic and try to yank yourself free, you may get even more tangled. Instead, shake and pull your arms and legs slowly to work yourself loose and call for an adult's help. If you're going out on a boat, always wear a life jacket, and it should be Coast Guard approved. You may not want to wear a life jacket. You may not think it looks cool or whatever. You want to show off your cute swimsuit, but it's very important. Even if you're a good swimmer, something could cause the boat to tip over, or sudden weather could come on, and you could be trapped. So that life jacket could literally save your life. Beaches, same thing. We don't have a lot of beaches around here, but beaches and oceans can be very tricky because of waves and currents that can change. So you should swim in an area with a lifeguard if possible. Waves can knock you down or push you to the ocean floor. Stay close to an adult, and lots of times you may not want to get in as deep You might just want to put your feet in like in the ocean because the current is so strong. There's also something called undertows and rip currents or rip tides that they're so strong they can carry swimmers away from shore before they know what's happening. If you're caught in a current, swim parallel to the shore, so alongside to the shore rather than directly to the shore. So you swim this way until it stops pulling you, and then you go diagonally toward the shore. If you can't get back to the beach because it's too strong, just tread water, which is a basic water safety skill that hopefully you know. Tread water and wave for a lifeguard's help. In this situation or any emergency situation, it's important to stay calm and not panic, which I know can be easier said than done. Okay, so to summarize, never swim alone, always swim where a lifeguard can see you and in areas that are marked safe for swimmers to use. Wear protective footwear if surfaces are rough or rocky. Don't swim out too far. Never pretend to be drowning. That's a new one we didn't go over. The lifeguard may take you seriously, and it's just not funny. I mean, no one ever wants to think that someone is drowning, so that's just not a funny game to play. If you happen to be in an open body of water, don't swim close to piers, those big wooden structures that jut out into the water. If the water moves suddenly, you could hit a piling or a rock. And then water parks, although there probably aren't very many open right now, but water parks are lots of fun, but you want to make sure that you always have an adult nearby. Be extra careful in wave pools because those can get really rough, and I can tell you from personal experience as an adult watching several kids, it's really hard to keep track of people in a wave pool because the water is going up and down, and everyone they're usually crowded and everyone is everywhere. So just be extra cautious in wave pools. Okay, well, that is all I have. Again, I'm going to try to link the information in the video, and I hope I haven't put you to sleep, and I hope you've learned something new. Be sure to ask any questions that you have in the comments, and I will try to jump back on and answer them. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.